Hey everybody, and welcome to this session on creating a sequence in ConvertKit. And just a reminder, sequences are also known as autoresponders. And remember, every different tool seems to have their own terminology. So just a reminder of what it is in ConvertKit. A sequence is also known as an autoresponder. So we're going to look at what a sequence is, how to set up the content, and then also look at the settings that go with sequences. So you can have as many sequences as you want throughout ConvertKit. The major settings are going to be the duration of the time lapse between sending out a series of emails. So if you remember, a sequence in ConvertKit is also known as an autoresponder in other tools. And an autoresponder can be one to up to as many emails as you want in a sequence. So they're in a specific order. And each email is sent out at a different time. And the first email is always sent based on a trigger. So somebody signs up in a form or somebody clicks a button. Those are triggers. And that's how sequences work in ConvertKit. So remember, we're just speaking on ConvertKit. Different tools are use these differently, but in here, the best way to actually generate and start someone in a sequence is to have them come through a form, and forms are the next thing we're going to talk about in the next module. So that's a sequence. And as I mentioned, your content can be one email or multiple emails. And what we're going to look at in here is ConvertKit kind of gives you an idea of how to actually use email marketing as a way to soft sell and upsell your products. And so they give you some samples, which I think is really cool if you're really stuck on what to do, or even if your clients are stuck on what to do. Remember, your subject line is important. This is just like a broadcast email, except it's a sequence of emails that are set off by a trigger. A broadcast, if you remember, is just an email that you schedule and send whenever. But just as subject lines are important in broadcast, there's the same thing as in autoresponders, or excuse me, sequences. And so I gave you some tools in the previous module on subject line analyzers. It'd be a great thing to use in here as well. And then you have sequence settings, which is when is it sent out. So let's jump over and take a look. So this is my home page. Remember, your home page kind of gives you the lay of the land. And since, once again, this is just a sandbox, we don't have a lot of activity in here unless someone's actually using it besides me. So we're going to jump to sequence, right? And you can see there's two. Webinar opt-in is the one that comes with, that's pre-done for you. And then I just created this one called test sequence, but it's really simple. You hit create sequence and you give it a name. And you obviously want to be as descriptive as possible as to what this is. So this is the free opt-in on my website. I hit create. And the benefit of having that freebie on your website is to have a conversation with people who are just getting to know you, so they can get to know you, they like you, they trust you, which means they become a customer or they buy from you. Now notice that I actually have several emails that are already created here. And as I mentioned, this is a benefit of ConvertKit. They give you some ideas, and they're not giving you specific content so much as telling you, okay, the first one's an introduction, the next one's an educational soft sell. And you can use this as kind of a structure, if you will, for creating your own series of autoresponders. Okay, so most of these are the same, but we'll start with this one called number one. And by the way, you can move these by drag and dropping them, which is so cool, right? You can just move them in sequence. So this email will be sent one day after subscription. And if you want it to go immediately, it's going to be a 0. Okay, and this 11 a.m. EDT, this has to do with your account settings. That's where that's coming from, but you can change any sequence to any time that you need, okay? And so here's your email subject. Remember, subject lines are given to you. Again, these are the dummy ones that are templates that are given to you by ConvertKit. You have some shortcuts here, how to write emails that get opened, how to write more effective email content. I mean, these are great things to have a look at. They're just links that you can check out. But as I mentioned, your subject line is very important, right? I'm just going to keep it short and sweet here. So you're going to type in your email subject line, and then you're going to go in here, and this is the actual content. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on content, but remember, the content is key, not the design, but the content. So you want to make sure that you're, in this instance, welcoming them for signing up for your freebie, because that's what this sequence is for. So this should be the introduction. Now, I always use Libsyn.com, which I love, just for dummy content. So I'm going to come over here and grab a paragraph. And I'm going to come back over here and I'm just going to paste it, right? And I could paste a couple of these just to make it look good. So I invite you to try this so you don't have to type something in. All right, now, once you have the information in, you have your toolbar. The toolbar is exactly the same as it was in the broadcast module. It's the same exact one. So you've got your bold, italicized, you've got your bullets, your indents. You can put in an image, right? You can choose an image, and you're just going to go find it. So I'm just going to grab one here real quick. Okay, so there's my image. I can resize it, drag and drop. I can click edit and give it a title. I can make it a link, which we'll talk about later. Position is important because otherwise it's going to kind of not look right in the message. So left or right will allow for the words to wrap around it. As we're center, the words will be up and top and bottom. Okay, so there we go. Like I said, I can hit edit and I can give it a title. I don't want to give it a title, so I'm going to cancel that. So you get the idea, and then you can drag and drop to move it. So there you go. If you want to set a link, you drag and drop. Okay, you can insert a file even, but you can insert a link here, right? Open in a new tab, which means it would open in a new window. Insert, very simple. Okay, I can bold, italicize, underline, all that kind of stuff, right? Okay, then you also have the ability to change your font color. You can even put your hex number in there if you know it, right? You can make it bigger. Okay, so you get the idea, right? This will give you the HTML. This will allow you to personalize. So you could put in something like their first name. Okay, so that will personalize it and so on. So you get the idea. And then obviously you will sign it, whatever you want to say down here. Put your signature in there and so on. And then notice you have the ability to do an email status. And this will allow you to keep things in draft. Draft things will never be sent to anybody. So if you're working on a sequence and some of them are published and some of them are draft, the draft ones will not be sent, only the published ones were, okay? And then down here, you can preview it in a browser. So there it is. That's what it looks like. Okay, then I can obviously test to make sure that my link works. And it does. Voila. Okay. I can also send myself an email and I can put in here the email that I want it to go to. I always recommend that you send yourself a preview and test everything, not just look at it in the preview browser, but also send yourself a test message just to make sure that it looks the way it's supposed to. Right. So there we go. Okay. And that's just one. And then I can hit save all. And it saves all the templates. Now this one's still in draft, so until I go look at it, make sure that everything looks the way I want it, then I could change it to published. Okay, so let's say that I've got the email, everything looks okay, and now I'm ready to send this specifically. So I go over here and I would change this to published. And then obviously you want to save. So that's the first email in the sequence. And a lot of times people do email sequences or, again, autoresponders, and they do multiple messages. And each message is sent out in a sequence of over a period of 2 weeks or 10 days or whatever it might be. So this is email number 1. To change email number 2, same thing. I would just click on it. I would change the number of emails. Now realize that this sequence that is set up here for you is already done. It's tested. It's one that works, as well as the ones with the sequence between, but you can change it to work it for you, okay? So I'm just going to leave this. It says, oops, I need some more text. So I'm just going to change this one. Okay, same thing. I would check it. I would email it and save it. Once you've done the check, right, which I'm going to save you from having to go through my email, you're going to want to change it to published. And it will say this email will be published when the sequence is saved, and it will be sent out 2 days after the original, which is the first one in the list, which is this one. But I could always change this to a number, okay? And so you basically go through this entire list. And if you don't want any more than that, I could go in here and say, okay, I only have 2, right? And then I could just delete this email by clicking on delete email, okay? Very, very simple. So if you don't want that many, you can eat them. If you want more, you could simply hit add email, and then you would have another email in the series, okay? And once again, to change you drag and drop, right? You just move them around, okay? So in this instance, let's say I only want 2. So I'm going to delete these. Now it's going to come on. Oh, because it's draft. So if I change it to publish, then it will let me delete it. Okay, well, I'm not going to get hung up on that. So you get the idea, right? You can drag and drop these around and put them in the order that you want, and then make sure that you save it. Okay. The next thing you're going to want to look at is the settings. Okay. And this gives you the overall settings as to like where the email comes from, what days of the week does it actually send the emails on. So you can just choose specific days of the weeks if you don't want it to send all the time. What time it sends it around. Okay. Your time zone. What template it's using. Right. So I could just do like a sample email template. And then I can exclude specific subscribers from the sequence. So the best way to actually add people to a sequence is through a form or through bulk actions, which we'll talk about in the next session. But if you know, for instance, that there's a specific tag or a specific sequence or form that you do not want to be sent this specific email, maybe it's people that have already been in the sequence for a while, and then you change the sequence and you don't want them to get a repeat, you could come in here and exclude them. So let's just say I'll exclude this one. Okay, that was my previous freebie. I don't want them to get the same set of sequences. And you can obviously select multiple. You can select sequences as well as forms as well as segments. So you can do them all at the same time. Okay, you can create an exact duplicate of this and you can delete the whole sequence, and then you just hit update. Okay, so under settings, you have the ability to change the from information, right? So I could change this to something else. The days of the week, the time, what email template you're using, if you want to exclude any subscribers. Now, if you don't want to exclude any subscribers, you obviously would just ignore this section, duplicate and delete, and then hit update. So once again, when it comes to content, you can do one or multiple emails. You can set them across a sequence of when they're sent. Remember, your subject line obviously is important, so is the content. Draft emails will not be sent until they are turned to published. So if you just have, you're just playing around and writing your email sequence, just leave it as draft. Even if it's in a sequence, it will not be sent to anybody that is added to this sequence. Always preview and send yourself a test email and make sure everything works and looks the same. Check it in different email providers like Outlook versus Gmail. And then make sure you save everything. And remember, you can drag and drop to change the order of the email sequences as well. Excuse me, setting. Once again, you can choose the day of the week, the time, the template, whether or not you want to exclude subscribers, and you can also change the email setting as to who the email comes from. So in this homework, very simple, create just a simple sequence and, just create a sequence, name it what you want. And, you can have as many emails in there as you want, at least have 2, and just get the gist of how to set these up. I recommend Lipsum, which is what I use, just to have dummy content that you can copy and paste in there. Take some time, do some formatting, get the gist of how all that works, and then send yourself a test email to make sure it looks the way that you want. And then go ahead and change that status from draft to publish. And you can do this on multiple emails. It doesn't have to just be one, but get in there and make sure you understand how they work. And then go into settings and update your options however you want. You can change the days of the week, the time, who it's from. You can even go in and add an exclusion for the tag that you set up in the previous module, just so you see how that works. And then the next session, we're going to talk about actually sending and adding people to a sequence. Okay. As always, if you have any questions, make sure to click the help button in the upper right-hand corner, send us an email, members@thetechiementor.com, post in our private Facebook group, or feel free to comment below. We'll get back to you. Thanks for your time. I'll see you in the next session. Bye.